America, America, God shed its grace on thee. Chapter 1, 2001, CE. The tick-tick of the luxury watches of the murder men twanging on their wrists was silent to me, as their heartless machine drones and Apache helicopters with Hellfire missiles raining Armageddon scorched the dirt that could not be salted. It was the first day of high school, September 11th, 2001. Every river in America ran back to that day. Ignorant of the significance of the gematria, it seemed like any other morning on the short yellow school bus as we crossed the George Washington Bridge with the towers in sight. If I were a clockmaker, I'd wind the contraption tight, so time would not be so loose and free as it was on the date of the sacrifice. I didn't feel like a lamb being led, but I was surrounded by sheep. As they bayed and hawed beside me, we were led away from the site of the attack that would soon occur. When I stared out that window, I did not see the fire and flame frothing like foam in the glass of a fiend. We were all in the glass of the fiend. We were cheap, fluoridated, low-alcohol content piss water in front of a professional alcoholic. Flag, flag, rock, eagle. But where is my country? It was a rhetorical question being whispered even before the ordained ritual. On that little yellow short bus, I had no knowledge of Operation Northwoods, or the March 13, 1962, Memorandum for the Secretary of Defense from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. A 13-year-old doesn't know of government plans to bomb civilian airliners, then blame it on another country as a pretense for war. I'm speaking, of course, about a proposed U.S. false flag operation prepared in order to invade Cuba. A 13-year-old doesn't know that governments conceive a false flag operation, including simulated or real victims, with simulated or real funerals. I didn't know anything as I crossed that bridge. There would be no returning. 9/11 would be like 1492 to 1942 in one day. They would bring down the towers, and through dark arts, open a portal to a black realm of inconceivable despotism. They would bring us into the Black Iron Prison. What exactly was the Black Iron Prison? It was the Roman Empire overlaid on top of the far future. It was the fight between the technological singularity and the spiritual singularity. Forever the fight would be between the Empire and the Sons of the Awakening. The Awakening was a realization of divinity, and it was a moment that occurred at many points in history, and was the destination all mankind was on a trajectory towards. It was the oldest story, the sons of water versus the sons of fire, mind against action, material versus consciousness. Mankind would only have one choice left. Mankind would either meld with and become one with the Empire, or they would become Jews in the fight with Rome and in standing against technological dictatorship. Or they would become like bars in the Black Iron Prison. Now from the far future I can see the towers had to be brought down in order to become the first bars in the resuscitated Black Iron Prison. The windows of the bus were like a thick skin between us and the world. As long as we were inside the bowels of the yellow bus, we felt safe, like we were in the womb of the state. In school, we would learn what they wanted us to learn, and never, of course, what they didn't want us to learn. Looking at the screaming, frenzied, faces of stimulant-filled, Oreo cookie-eating, goblin goons, I felt disgust for reasons I could not even conceptualize or put into words at that point. And the captain of our slave ship? For certainly we did not go willingly. The captain was some low-rent junkie of either alcohol or marijuana, and a serial pedophile and sexual offender, of course. For the resources of society even then were solely devoted to criminal enterprises of our predatory elites, who used the CIA like a mafia against the whole world and even its citizens. The resources of society would never be devoted to the solving of any problems. It was 2001, and it was already a stalled century we had laid out in front of us, in the scheme that the horse breeders of man had devised. I could see it even then, even before awareness had possessed me. It was in the unconscious mind at all times. The battle of the sons of darkness against the sons of light. The Roman Empire, all kingship, all robes and costumes, were an abomination. All politicians, all priests, all artificers of the Black Iron Prison, all agents of our subjugation, both clandestine and overt, would destroy themselves. It was a choice. You could either give up yourself and be welcomed inside, or you could hold tightly to yourself and the truth you felt in your gut and live forever on the outside. It was all a test, the short yellow bus, the tiny wood desks, the hard plastic seats. The degenerates, so thoroughly brainwashed, chosen to instruct us. It was not by mistake. It was ontological and spiritual warfare. We were being groomed by the biggest, the predator in the history of the animal man. The U.S. government was our abuser. Day after day, we were indoctrinated in beliefs that did not serve us at all. We would never be taught how to garden or how to balance a checkbook. It was the first inoculation against the truth, but it would not be the last. Then the bus was lifting and rocking off the ground as the driver fully accelerated over a speed bump. As we took flight, everything froze, and I looked at my classmates and felt such disgust. They were despicable mongoloid creatures whose company I had never chosen or consented to be in. We could have been taught rocket science or molecular biology. Instead, it was all doctrine, worldview, and ideology. It was their way of conquering us, of stopping us from conquering them. If they could waste our time with education and teach us nothing, they could successfully waste the youthful and aggressive part of our lives where we might stand against them. All my classmates did was whine and belch, and now frozen, their rotten, ugly orifices were even more offensive. For it was not their rectums and genitals which would produce the most terrible waste. It was the hole on their faces, from which they would reproduce and spread all the bile of the masters. Forever they would be spokesmen in the service of that which they did not understand, or even try to comprehend or unravel. It was then I decided that my classmates and teachers could not possibly be real. Clearly, they were automatons without souls, manifest by the realm itself, for the purpose of serving the principalities and kings, which reality manufactured for its own purpose. When the bus landed, my classmates went back to their monstrous theatrics. They would never know me, and I would never know them. That was the way I wanted it. If you thought you knew me, I would confound you, because I did not want to be known. There was something I was working on in secret. Unknown even to myself, I was nurturing the last spark. Deep inside, there was a conflagration. In the unknown forest, a wildfire that I could not contain within myself. All of man would be a forest fire. I would see to it. I would be the spark. The great manipulators of man could not keep us from our destiny. They could not stop the night of the immolation, when all those who stood apart from the black iron prison would be like kindling for the fire that will illuminate the dark night of the soul of man. Pulling up to the school, it was a picturesque enough scene. Red bricked and white roofed, with a manicured lawn, and with white embossed letters on the side which read, Community High School. Like good prisoners, we stood in an orderly fashion and slowly filed out of the bus and into the red brick building, where they would break us and make us into something of their choosing. The entire school was a component of MK Ultra, a secret U.S. government program designed to understand and implement physical mind control. Through the CIA-connected American Psychiatric Association, medical conditions had been manufactured, ordinary human behavior designated illness, and the pretense to medicate an entire generation on selective serotonin, reuptake inhibitors, and amphetamines fabricated. The so-called community high school was just a front for this brainwashing machine, which the U.S. government used to control its citizens with highly addictive psychotropic drugs, which made them more open to suggestion, prone to emotion, violence, and which the manufacture and sale of made the government and their associates trillions a year. If a child had a healthy human energy level and attention span, he could not sit through the classes of America. Through the American Psychiatric Association, this normal human behavior would be diagnosed as a sign of some cognitive disorder. This diagnosis would forever funnel the child down the road of lifetime pharmaceutical use in order to counter this permanent disorder. It was all just part of the Manson-Columbine Hollywood complex, which worked feverishly as part of this MK Ultra machine that was kept in constant motion. It was American Pravda. Every night on the evening news, it was Triumph of the Will. Somehow, Americans could see and understand propaganda when it was Leni Riefenstahl, but not when it was the nightly news, and Top Gun Maverick, with Tom Cruise, and military-industrial complex movie magic. All of my classmates were higher than Adolf Hitler during the preparations for invading the Sudetenlands and the Soviet Union. They were all on literal methamphetamine, disoxin, amphetamine, Adderall, methylphenidate with a benzodiazepine come down, and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor for managing the emotional depression that comes from stimulant abuse. How could they digest American education without narcotic agents? We were a clockwork orange, and the orange was the coloring of the orange dexedrine sun that was dementing their dream. In the hallways, the lockers were blue, and the pupils were dilated as I entered into the classroom for the first subject of the day. It was art, taught by a divorced alcoholic who put a piece of paper in front of you to doodle as he recovered from his hangover. There was no lesson in that, except for what not to become in life. There was a radio, and he turned the knobs until the grain and hum of the frequencies faded, and a voice started in,
Good morning, America. This is KPT 1200. Today is September 11th, 2001, and it is as beautiful a day as ever, folks. The skies are crystal clear, and the temperature outside is perfect. If I were you, I'd be outside. Now here's the Eagles with Hotel California.
The Eagles begin their song. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of colitis, rising up through the air. Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night, but the voice of the singer is cut off as the announcer cuts in.
Well, folks, breaking news here. It looks like a plane has crashed into one of the World Trade Centers. We're not sure what's going on, or about the size of the plane, or the circumstances of the crash, but we will keep you updated as we find out more.
How'd he miss that? Must be one hell of a pilot if he couldn't avoid hitting a building, said the man who made $30K and at this very moment had total control over my life, before breaking out into laughter.
You know that was no mistake, right? Even if they don't,
said a voice from the corner that I had never heard before. A man in a black suit, with a white button-down and leather penny loafers, was speaking to me from the corner of the classroom, and no one else seemed to notice him. Pulling a badge out from inside of his jacket, he held up the golden metal shield with an identification card bearing his face and the letters CIA.
Are you talking to me?
I asked. I was confused and overwhelmed by the circumstances.
you know I'm talking to you. You can see me, they can't. Seems like a plane crash might do some real structural damage. That could cause both towers to fall.
Cause both towers to fall? What are you talking about? Some pilot must have done a little too much blow and his heart popped out and he crashed.
Yes, you heard me. Acts of international terrorism happen every day. In my professional opinion, it seems like structural damage has occurred, which could cause both towers and a third building, World Trade Center 7, to collapse from structural failure.
Why are you telling me this?
Because you can see me. We like to get ahead of these things. We didn't want you to worry, or get suspicious. Not suspicious, but curious. So, I was sent to explain to you in person exactly what's going on. Firstly, come with me, and I'll tell you everything.
The agent spoke as he led me into the hallway and into another classroom, where a TV on a cart with wheels was being displayed in front of the class. On the screen was an image of the smoking and burning World Trade Center tower the plane had just hit. The other tower was still unscared.
Have you ever heard of Osama bin Laden?
Sounds familiar.
Osama bin Laden is a Saudi Arabian terrorist with a network of extremists who hates America because of our freedom. Now don't ask me what he was doing before this or who he worked for in the 80s, that's top secret. But I can tell you this, we just had a military exercise in June 2001 called Operation Amalgam Virgo, where we simulated Osama bin Laden flying a commercial airliner into a residential tower.
So you think this guy did this? I don't get why you're bothering me.
All signs are pointing to Osama bin Laden, and not a nation-state or the rogue intelligence agency of a superpower. If you don't understand why I'm here yet, just watch and be quiet, you'll see.
As the words left the agent's mouth, I stood and watched the television on wheels. As I watched, I could see another plane crash into the second tower. The explosions licked the side of the building like the vulgar tongue of a snake licking a woman's naked body. I felt nothing. Was it movies or current events? Is it entertainment or state control?
Oh my God, folks. 3,000 people just died when that plane exploded into the towers. It's like a movie, folks. America is under attack.
The voice of the newscaster was like the voice of the devil's agent, and I could not help but turn to look the CIA agent in the eye. When my eyes met his eyes were emotionless, but his lips twisted into a grin. That was like the scowl of a jester. Even 70 years later, I can remember that devil's face pulled back into an evil grimace of content. All around, my schoolmates were crying and gasping like they were actors in a play. Slowly, as though through a dial-up modem, they went on the download until their mood and countenance matched the frequencies that were being broadcast by the state. But I could not understand them. All I could see was the agent's face, and his grin, and in his eyes, I saw the towers collapse, and their ribs half broken, reaching up towards the sky. And from outside the door, echoing from the hallway, I could hear the Eagles finishing their song from the first class room. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back, to the place I was before. "Relax," said the nightman. "We are programmed to receive. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave." Then I was falling into the agent's eyes. I could see myself. I was a guest in the Hotel California. My room had one king-sized bed and a clock radio that was buzzing. And when I opened the door, I was stepping foot into the womb of a Boeing 747 aimed at the World Trade Center. Running to the front of the plane, I open the door of the cockpit to find that there is no pilot flying, just in time for plane to crash into one of the World Trade Center towers. Inside the flames, I become the steel girders of the building, and then dust, as everything collapses, and the tired lungs of the towers spit me out.
Look, listen to me. We have our eye on you. This is not the beginning of a war on terrorism. This is the beginning of a war against you. You are either CIA or you're dead. You get that? You're with us or against us, boy. This here is law-by-letter agency, so get used to it. I know you see me, but you don't see the discrepancies. You don't see the obvious flaws in our story. You understand? Don't ask any questions. Take your drugs, eat your Big Mac. What you can do to stop terrorism is shop at the mall. Just keep your fucking eyes shut, you hear me?
And that was how it all began. The event of all events. The opening of the first gate.